Hi, welcome back to my revival. I'm sorry I didn't get any videos out last week. I've had a really bad head cold. But I'm back in the game now, and welcome to the final video on my life-altering event. After making it through that first night in the hospital, and when it began to look like I would survive, I had downtime. And a question came to me. If I had died, would I have died happy? That's it. That's the question that led to the changing of my thinking about my life. I remember it being a really quiet, self-reflective moment, and the answer disturbing me. Because the answer was no. No. I would not have died happy. I would not have died having lived a happy, fulfilled life. I had an unhappy childhood. One of the things that got me through that childhood was telling myself that at 18 I'd pursue my, chance to pursue happiness, that I would work toward that. But I never really did. I don't know why we tell ourselves we have time. I'll go to college later. I'll get a job sometime. I'll have kids one day. I'm embarrassed to say I used to live my life that way. And by living my life that way, I never finished college. I haven't had a job in about 30 years, and I didn't have those kids. I wasted 30 years of my life, 30 years of the only life I've got, living that way. In the hospital after this event, I now had thoughts like, was I going to die soon? How much time did I have left on this earth? Suddenly I was really conscious of time and what I had left. And if I had any left, how would I spend it? So I followed up the question of if I had died, would I have died happy, with another question. What would make me happy? The first and most powerful answer that came to me involved my relationship with God. Jesus had saved my life years ago, and he had stayed with me and stayed faithful and never forsaken me. He'd done his part in our relationship. Me, not so much. I had never honestly learned to daily put him first. So right there in that hospital bed, I determined that's the first thing I would change. God has always made me happy. So I would seek him more earnestly. That was the first thing I knew I needed to do to make myself happy if I survived this. It also bothered me. I'd never finished college or had a steady job or, ever had that sense of personal accomplishment or, that I'd helped, the family finances in any way. I really struggled with the guilt that I had never done that. So I thought, I'd like to get a job or earn an income of some kind. I thought that might make me happy. I'm not sure when I realized how much of my life I had lived in fear. The negative one, not the awe of God kind of fear. But it began to dawn on me, I think, after the hospital. I'd been afraid to write, afraid to give the gospel, afraid to start a YouTube channel. I was afraid to fail. I was afraid to succeed. I told myself, well, if I didn't just try, I wouldn't succeed or fail. But that didn't end up being any kind of life to live. It was really a lie. Because living with fear controlling me never made me happy. And I never accomplished anything or gained the confidence you gain from trying, so I needed to tackle fears to fully live. Okay, so I wanted to completely change my life. Where to start? What was the first thing I should do to begin to make me happy? Well, every time I thought of something, physical limitations came up. I have a heart for the hungry. But standing in a soup kitchen to serve or to work in a food pantry and fill boxes or bags, at that weight, there was no way. With the bone-on-bone arthritis in my knees, to be honest, I could barely stand, people. I could barely stand. I had a rough time making it from the house to the car. I was extremely overweight. And there was no way I could go and stand to do that. My husband, sometimes travels the distance, it's over a couple of hours, to go to San Francisco to minister in the Tenderloin. I don't know if you know what that is, but the Tenderloin district in San Francisco is, it's renowned for being an extremely poor neighborhood. It's full of the homeless. It's full of drug traffic, sex traffic. You would call it the poor side of town, maybe, or the rough neighborhood. The city has bought some buildings there and allows the homeless to live there. They don't always have elevators, but they usually have several flights of stairs, and San Francisco is also a hilly city. So my husband would go and walk up and down stairs in buildings to bring people meals and ask if they wanted prayer, and he'd walk down those stairs and he'd walk around the neighborhood and pray for the neighborhood with the ministry that's situated there. And I can't remember the name of it. I wish I could, or I would have put it in the description. I should have asked him before I went to make this video. It's a really wonderful ministry, but I've never gone because I couldn't do the stairs. I couldn't do the hills. I wouldn't be of any use to anybody. So when I thought, okay, maybe I can't do that. Maybe I can go to a Bible study, a women's Bible study, or start driving myself to church. But I couldn't fit behind the wheel of my very large SUV. I was that fat. So headed out to Bible studies. That wasn't going to happen. And again, with the standing, if I got just a part-time job standing for a few hours to be a clerk in a store, usually those stores have cement floors, there's no way. Not just my knees, which would have been screaming, but I could hardly catch my breath. Even before the pulmonary embolism, I got out of breath really, really quickly. I was carrying hundreds and hundreds of extra pounds. And my body, it was taking its toll. So, what was the first thing I had to do to change my life? The fat had to go. God gave me a gift in this near-death experience. He used it to get my attention and to do some self-reflection. What did I learn? That there's no room for denial in any part of my life, and that life really is short. That had never been something I applied to myself before. I really don't have time to waste. I had to get started now. I wasted 30 years living in fear, being lazy, giving power over to other people about my life, hoping someone would come along and do the heavy lifting of my life for me. But time passed, my life passed, and nobody ever came. And I never fought for my happiness the way I'd promised myself years ago I would. So I told myself, if I make it out of this hospital alive, whatever time I have left, I will spend proactively. And I'm happy to say I've begun. My revival began by addressing my weight, and I am conquering it. As of last week, I had lost nearly 340 pounds. Yay! And I've seen a lot of health benefits as a result, including those knees. My relationship with God is deeper and more consistent, which I'm really, really excited about. Thank you, Jesus. And even my relationship with my husband has improved as we put healthier communication habits in place we'd put off doing for too long, just like we'd put off doing a lot of other things. So far, all the things I'm applying with this new determined mindset in my life are vastly improving. I don't believe I would have lost this weight if my mind had not changed from this experience. And I'm kind of excited to see what's next.